Everybody, welcome back to another episode of Conversation Pit. Today I am joined by three lovely guests. I have two actually familiar faces who I've done Deconstructing the Narrative interviews with, which is really exciting. And then we have a newbie to the series, which is awesome as well. So today we're going to be talking all about marketing. Specifically, kind of just want to talk to you guys. I know, Max, I know you have, an extensive background in marketing. So kind of just chatting about some, I guess, things that you've come across that have helped you and helped you help other creatives in that area. And then Nancy and Dominic, if you guys could just let us in on whether or not you guys have any experience with marketing or if you're coming mainly to learn. And then I also just kind of want to talk about the, creative platform that's about to be released from us. It's called Creatives Only. And, obviously marketing has been one of the biggest things that I've, talked about with almost every single creative. And I just thought it was really important that we kind of chat about it because I think it's universal for every creative that everybody needs to be, really knowledgeable on this subject. So we kind of want to talk with you guys about what, I guess, resources you guys would like to see within this platform for, I guess, creatives when they enter in regards to marketing and things that would kind of help you as a creative or that you feel like would help the creative community as a whole in regards to marketing. So if everybody can just start by giving a quick introduction. I know, Max, you've done this like 10 times, but just for the sake of the new group. And then, and then we can kind of start talking about everything marketing. So Max, you can go ahead and go first.
Yeah, sure. My name is Maximillian. I'm a creative director and social brand strategist, social brand marketing strategist based in downtown Los Angeles. I operate a creative marketing agency named Maxi Media, spelled MXI Media. And I support creatives, entrepreneurs, freelancers who have a service or a product that they use to make a living. And I help them establish themselves online and brand themselves, market themselves, and generate revenue.
Perfect. Awesome. Super cool. Welcome back.
Thanks.
That's me, right?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name's Dominic DiMaria. I run a creative firm called Soul Matter, where we specialize in starting fires. We call ourselves cultural arsons. And I think the idea behind that is we want to help brands that want to stand out, that want to say something different, that want to sort of own their perspective in a new way. That's really where we find that we do our best work.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Nancy.
Hello, I'm Nancy Oganezov. I am a painter, and my brand is called No Design because my initials spell no. I pretty much only paint clothing, but my day job is actually as a social strategist. I've been working in social media since 2013 professionally, and it's kind of been my office job during the day. And then at night, I kind of work on my painting commissions and things like that. But currently, I am freelancing for a Minneapolis marketing agency called ICF. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm going to help them with their TikTok strategy for the holidays. So that's my current project if anyone wants to talk about TikTok.
Awesome. Yeah. Oh, let's definitely touch on that because I feel like TikTok is just like a huge platform to get yourself out there right now. I know that the algorithm like works really different than like most platforms. So people are kind of finding that they're like able to like, get their name out there a lot faster. So yeah, let's definitely dive a little bit into that. But I'm really excited because you guys all have like a marketing background. So we can spend a lot of the time today kind of talking about, I guess, things that you guys have found that have been helpful, or that you have found helpful within your careers that you can lend as advice for other creatives. This is definitely going to be really helpful for other people to watch. So that's awesome. So yeah, Nancy, if you could just dive in really quick, I guess since we're already on the topic, to kind of what you're learning about the TikTok algorithm and stuff. And let's kind of talk about that and how you think that would be helpful for, I guess, any creative to use as a platform to market themselves.
Yeah. So, I mean, the cool thing about TikTok, exactly, like the algorithm is much different than what we typically know about. Obviously, Instagram has kind of become a shopping tool, and it's very much, who you interact with is who you see most. But TikTok is kind of going off of the more you post, the better chances you have of showing up to a new audience, right? So it's kind of like people are actually testing this, like posting multiple times a day and then seeing a video kind of skyrocket in views, which is really awesome. Hashtags don't really work, which is really great. It like solely is about your content, and you can kind of do the simplest thing that's like really eye-catching, and that can get you a bunch of views, versus just like making this super produced short video that people typically are posting on like Instagram or something. It's kind of a game of chance right now, but I think when it comes from a brand side, brands are getting into it because they're noticing just users of their product are naturally posting their product on TikTok, and it's getting them a bunch of like free marketing, just like the ocean spray kind of example with Dogface 420, him on his skateboard, listening to or putting Fleetwood Mac as kind of like the background music and drinking ocean spray. Like ocean spray wasn't on TikTok, but once that kind of blew up, they like took that chance to make the CEO of Ocean Spray an account, and then they like gifted him a car and made it a whole brand moment. So there's just is a lot you can do depending on what avenue you're kind of in. And I feel like for artists and creators, there's definitely, opportunities there. Does anyone have kind of thoughts on that, artists and TikTok, if you've seen any examples and things?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you mentioned TikTok. A user, a creator is rewarded by the frequency of their posting. So the more times they post, more often they post, the higher chance they'll have of getting more engagement.
Exactly. They have like this interesting algorithm right now, which isn't exactly shared, but I remember I was like reading something that like you are presented to like 90 viewers or something, like when you post a video, and depending on how many of those 90 viewers react to it, like if they like it or they comment it or they watch the whole thing, they don't just like scroll past, it then like puts you in another tier, and it shows you to like, I don't know what the number is, but let's say 1,000 viewers. And if from those 1,000 viewers, enough of them see it, then it just keeps hiking it up. And that's why when you go on the platform, you can see like something that was posted like months ago, you're just seeing for the first time, but you like go to the comments and you're like, oh my gosh, like this blew up a while ago, because you're probably in one of those like later tiers. So it kind of keeps bumping you up. I feel like Instagram does do this kind of with the explore page, but the explore page is a lot more complicated. They use like machine learning to try to put your posts on the explore page, and it's much less like audience focused. It's, I don't know, it's a little bit more complex and not as easy to kind of break through.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question as well. I'm curious how I know TikTok in terms of the interface is really deconstructed compared to something like Instagram and the way that you can treat your content. Is the ad side similar? Like, what are the insights like as compared to other platforms that you can get from TikTok ads?
It's interesting. They're still kind of,
or organic posts.
Yeah,
two.
I feel like they're still like tinkering with their ads. Something with TikTok is like you still have to pay to play, and I think it is more expensive to do a TikTok ad than it is to do an Instagram ad. With Instagram, you can pay like $6 and have like an Instagram ad reach like 2,000 people in a day or something. That doesn't exist on TikTok. I think it's costs a little bit more to kind of start a campaign. And I know they're trying to get more people to use it so they can kind of offer more insights and analytics. They have some kind of like 300 free credit thing right now, but I think most brands are like, we don't even need to pay to use ads. We can just organically post and it just will naturally be free marketing pretty much.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that, just like from a creator standpoint, I think TikTok is really cool because of the fact that I've noticed, and kind of like what you said, Nancy, that there's this aspect to it that you don't have to put as much, thought behind what you're making. It's, it's supposed to be short. It's supposed to be sweet. It's supposed to be something that's like, like engaging, like right away, and I feel like with Instagram, because it is so, shopping driven, it's so like, pushing ads and pushing, all these kinds of different things. It's really intimidating for creatives to kind of hop on there and want to, post work, and have this like, this line that you have to meet of like it being so perfect, and because you know everything on Instagram, it looks perfect, it's everything is perfect about it, you know what I mean? So I think that because there is that like weight on like a creator, I think that becomes really difficult to like want to consistently share work, which like, you know, obviously consistency is key. So kind of being able to be consistent and not being comfortable with everything that you're posting, because you feel like you're not meeting a standard or something. I think that that's definitely, you know, what's really nice about TikTok is that weight is kind of lifted off of you. So it's kind of just this organic, like sharing something that's quick and fun that someone's going to be like, you know, engaged with for, you know, 6 seconds, 10 seconds, whatever it is. And, you know, you can kind of build a following that way, which I find really cool about TikTok. Cause like for me, I'm like super OCD about like the way things like all work together. And I'm sure, you know, most are like, you want your feed to look when you open it, you know, Max, I know we always talk about, you know, that first like engagement of like someone opening your profile and like what it looks like, you know, so there is this like background of like just being stressed out about like making sure that that looks perfect. And that's a lot as a creator when you want to share parts of your creation process and all that. Maybe sometimes that isn't beautiful, but it's like a part of your process, you know? And like, so to have somewhere where you can go and like share those moments, I think is really special. Really cool. And I really think that like TikTok should be utilized definitely a lot more for creatives. It's been really cool because I have seen and followed a lot of creatives on TikTok who kind of do that, just that they show their process and they show, you know, all these little things, and you learn so much. And it's like,
so more the things you can learn on TikTok it's
crazy,
wild. It's like better than YouTube tutorials.
Yes, 100%, because it's so quick. It's like I just like learned like a whole thing in 6 seconds. Yeah, it's really awesome. So I definitely think that's like definitely a tool that needs to be utilized more by the creative side. Awesome. And then Dominic, since you're like new and stuff, can you kind of let us in a little bit more, I guess, delve a little bit deeper into your background and like some of the projects you're working on at the moment?
Certainly, yeah. Well, first off, thank you for hosting this. This is really cool. I've been meaning to jump in for a minute. My background, I grew up a hippie child in Flagstaff, Arizona, and then spent some time in Charleston, South Carolina, where I started my film career. I was basically a commercial director for a few years. And when I was getting ready to move to Los Angeles, and I had a experience where I was actually hit by a car before I left.
Wow.
And kind of rewrote a lot about my life as a part of that, and got me wanting to delve into deeper meaning in my work, and, you know, work with brands that I really connected with, work with people I really connected with. And that kind of took me in the direction of doing more original content. So Soul Matter is an interesting brand. We do commercial branded work, but it's also been a real exploration of finding movements that we really believe in. We work as a creative strategy team for the Sports Equity Lab at Yale. And we do a lot of work with safe sport and creating equitable environments for athletes, and particularly athletes with disabilities around the world. And that's kind of stuff we focus on. I have a stake in an art brand called Das Audi based in the Arts District, downtown LA. And we focus on interiors and 3D structural fine art. And then the rest is mostly content, mostly films and TV.
That's awesome. And having worked in so many areas, I guess, like within the creative industry, like throughout your time, what are some, I guess, like main like tips or kind of like strategies, I guess, that you've come across that have been really helpful for you as a creative, or that you've noticed would be helpful for like, I guess, other up and coming creatives?
Yeah, I love that question. I think the biggest thing that I would say to creatives, artists, is to, I think, divorcing your perspective from your work and thinking about optimizing in a way that makes you more commercial is a giant mistake. I think you should really focus on your voice and not get too caught up in, you know, I just realized that there's a certain vibration that you can feel when you're creating something that's really authentic. And when you're focusing on those things and really trying to express yourself in those true moments, that's when you're doing things that are interesting and really unique to you, that only your perspective could cook this up. Mm-hmm. And I think where I have made mistakes in my career as a young creative was thinking that I needed to make it look more agency friendly or more, you know, customer friendly. And I do think that's important, but it's really more important to position yourself as an expert in your disciplines and the things that really set you apart. That's the number one tip that I have for anybody who's a maker. Do stuff that's from your two set of eyes.
Mm-hmm. And kind of embracing like your own like individual narrative, essentially.
Yeah, your story. Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, that's something we preach really like heavily here as well. Yeah, it's just so important. I feel like, for creatives to kind of do that, because I feel like, the moment that you stop doing that and you start conforming to whatever you think is going to do well, like you're not telling your story and it's not authentic. And so there's like obviously like replications and all this other stuff you're running into. And I feel like when you're kind of embracing that narrative that you have, you're able to kind of, create work that's set apart from anyone else, because no two people have the same story, no two people have the same, background or anything. So the moment that you start like playing off of that, I think that's what kind of allows you to be like different and allows people to want to like follow your work, because I could go on and like look up the same pieces of work 10 times from 10 different people, and it's not as exciting as when I go on and see someone who's doing something different and something unique to them, so really like and that's definitely something we're like really heavy on here, especially with within this community. Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
For sure. And I would just like to add, I think that that in terms of how we look at our work and our careers, focusing on speed is a real death trap. And we should really be focusing on refinement and working on our disciplines.
Definitely. Yeah. Giving yourself that time to like have that full creative process, like I think it definitely comes into play. Like I said, like with like, outlets like Instagram, you're constantly wanting to put up new content and like beat the next person and like making sure that your feed looks a certain way and all this stuff. And you get so caught up in all these little things that you kind of lose your creative like process, you know what I mean? Which is so important to like creating something that's really special and really unique. So yeah, I think that's definitely really important as well. Thank you. Awesome. And then Max, I know we've kind of talked a lot about what you do, but I kind of wanted to touch on like everything that you're doing with your new space and kind of just let us know what's been going on with that.
Yeah, sure. I'm fascinated by what Dominic was saying. As soon as before I get into my thing, he started talking. The first like few sentences out of his mouth, he was saying, a lot of people get into the commercialization or trying to frame their content into some sort of box that other people are going to enjoy. I was like, that's a great idea. And then he said, yeah, we shouldn't be doing that. I was like, that's also a great idea. And, I'm always thinking in terms of effectiveness, like how do you present a product to your target audience? Do you make it the way that they think that they like it, or do you make it in a new and genuine and authentic way? And then you kind of like slap them and say, no, this is the way you like it. And they're like, yes, I like it like that. But anyways, that was interesting. But in terms of my space, so I'm here in downtown Los Angeles. I just moved into a creative workspace on 5th and Spring. There's a big room with mirrors that I'm renting out to dancers and like yoga studio applications. There's a big common space that we've been doing like private mixers. It is kind of like COVID, so we're doing small events, and it's really people in their own group coming together rather than random people from different groups. But it's been really fun. I have meetings here. I mean, I live in the room adjacent to the common space, so I'm in my office now. There's an office room, so it's been fun. I just love having creatives in the house. I was teaching one of my colleagues how to DJ. I have my DJ decks and my speakers in the space. So I just want to see what people will do here. I just want to, awesome. So that's what's been happening. And then I want to comment, Nancy, we have a history together. No Design, I recall, was one of the designers at my fashion show in collaboration with SADA Collective.
Yeah, that was my first intro to SADA Collective. That was like the first thing I did. And then I've slowly, kept in touch as much as I can with you guys. So it's pretty cool.
That was a year ago.
It was like exactly a year ago.
October.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That makes me so happy. Oh, and now you guys are kind of like together for this, like, for us going into this really big time with Creatives Only platform, which is so awesome too. Because, my main thing with this platform is that, we're really focused on making sure that people like know each other's spaces. That's part of the reason I wanted to do this series, was to kind of like familiarize, like, especially during this time where we can't really like be in person, you know what I mean? To kind of familiarize with each other's spaces and stories and stuff. So when we hop on this like digital space that we're, going to be hopefully using really often, that there's like a person behind that name on the screen, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't want it to be, something where you go on and you just see like, oh, this person and this person. And like, obviously you'll familiarize yourself with names, but I think having like a time every week where we can all just jump on and kind of talk about, X topic, whatever that may be, is really important to kind of put, that like personality behind the name, and kind of building that community that is so important within the creative industry. That's something that from all of my deconstructing the narrative, like interviews, from everything that I've done, conversation, but everything, everyone has stressed this idea of community and how important it is as a creative to have that, and so I really feel like being able to build that and like being able to have real conversations is so important. And something that made me really happy is I did a little like survey thing with a guest probably like last week, and she was actually in one of our conversation pits as well, and she was just saying how she loved so much that she hopped on and she had no idea what to expect, and that it was really chill, and that any of the like clips that she shared from like this like time, all of her friends were like, oh well, wow, that's awesome, like that's really like chill and like really low key, like it's just like talking. That's like supposed to be just like us talking and not anything more than that, so just getting to know each other and kind of getting to know the backgrounds and stuff I think is so important. So I love that you guys have that connection. That just makes me so happy, and it makes me so happy going into this digital space that there's going to be relationships that have already been built and stuff. That's awesome. So kind of digging a little bit deeper, I guess, into marketing, I wanted to kind of chat with you guys about what resources would be helpful for you or you think would be helpful for other creatives within this space in the realm of marketing and kind of getting your name out there. What can we do, I guess, to like enhance those areas within the app and within the digital community?
I think development, personal brand or personal and or brand development tools, I think is the first step in creatives setting themselves up for success. I'm actually, all of my clients, the first thing we do is we look at their Instagram, because Instagram is often the first touch point for their brand and how new customers find them. So I do a critique. It's like I look at their bio and their profile pic, and if I don't get the message from their bio and the profile pic, I might be gone as a new visitor to the profile. I'm not going to start scrolling if the bio doesn't make sense to me, because I don't have time to figure it out, especially if I'm an uninitiated visitor to a new account. If it's not clear in the first 3 seconds, it's like, well, I don't know what this is and I don't have time. But if you can be clear in the bio, is like, I am a creative director and strategist. I support creatives and entrepreneurs. So someone who shows up in the first 5 seconds, like, oh, okay, this is what he does. This is who he works with. I either am one of those people he works with or I am not. And it's at that point they can decide to dig further into my profile or leave. So that's what I help people with, is just set yourself up for success in terms of branding yourself online. And if there are tools available for everyone to kind of like get up to speed, kind of like a checker, like an optimization checker, like rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. How much does your bio make sense? Is there a link that someone can follow up on? Is there a call to action here? If not, you got to work on it. You got to update it. That's my recommendation.
In terms of resources, I think it's really powerful to create opportunities to explore curiosity and imagination. So a lot of the things that, at least what we work on, is I've templated out all these exercises for visioning and cultivating imagination, and then having somewhere to put it on a page. Because I think a lot of times in marketing, especially creative marketing, we're kind of focused on deliverable. But what we don't realize is that before deliverable is imagination and curiosity. And before imagination and curiosity is self. So I think the biggest thing for creatives is coming from a place of health. I think there's a lot of toxic narratives around creating from depressive, bad, dark places. And some really cool shit does come out of that. But I think it's also important to just, to fill up and to come from a place of abundance, that self, cultivate your imagination, and then your deliverables happen by themselves.
Definitely.
Tune up the effort knob a little bit and it happens.
I like that.
Yeah, me too. That's awesome. Nancy?
Yeah, I mean, something that I think I always look forward to when joining some kind of community, whether it is creative or like professional growth, or even something in your neighborhood, is kind of like exposure of voice. So what I mean is, like, if someone is this like expert, like up and coming cake designer or something. They could have an amazing Instagram feed. They could have a perfect bio, but they could only, know 100 people in their circle. It's like, how do you, connect them to other creators or event planners or things like that who can kind of like champion for their work? And, it's just, I'm thinking to so many times when like my own art has gotten exposure by me not even doing anything, and someone just happens to like find my post and share it onto their story to their audience. So it's like tapping into those new audiences is something that's super important. You can, create awesome stuff, but it really matters on the right people kind of seeing it and hearing it. So I think, creating a community of people who are like-minded and like really want their stuff shared will for sure inevitably help that.
Yeah, I think this idea of a like-minded community is really important too, because I feel like the gap that I've realized just from being a creative and like, looking at different communities that are available online, I think it becomes difficult when there's a cluster of people. Some people are really down to like help each other and to kind of, grow with each other. And then some people aren't. So they're, those groups of people who aren't so down to like collaborate and, have those relationships and, help each other grow, I think kind of bring a community down, and then it becomes really hard to feel like you're being seen or your voice is being heard when it comes to like, the creative industry. So I think that, this idea of like-minded people is so important, and to have like a community of tight knit people who like want the same thing, I think that will definitely lead to more growth, and that will lead to wanting to accept and take more opportunities from each other and from, other places as well. And, just that like collaboration process is like so important. So like that's definitely something we are focusing on for this app and for this space. Is like the reason it's an application process and you can't just get in is because like we want to make sure that everybody who's in there is like down to kind of have this like economy of like circulating resources and inspiration and all these other things, what I mean, kind of getting that from one creative to the next, and kind of sharing opportunities with each other versus just like hogging or closing up opportunities. I think that's why the people who do suffer in the creative community do suffer, is because they feel like they can't, it's inaccessible. I can't speak to this person or get advice from this person, or I don't have access to this opportunity, what I mean? And I think, kind of closing up that gap and like, or bridging that gap by kind of creating this community of people who want the same thing and want to help each other is definitely like the goal. So I love that you mentioned that, that it's so important to kind of have those relationships. Is definitely really, really like a big thing that we're focusing on as well when it comes to this community. Awesome. Perfect. And then I guess I just want to open up the floor now for all of you guys. If you have any additional like tips, I guess, or recommendations for us as a collective, and just in general, maybe for the digital community, doesn't necessarily have to pertain to marketing, but just like in general, what we can do to kind of improve the space as we're entering, this like grand opening, everything's about to go off. So I guess I just want to hear right now, while we're still kind of constructing everything, if you guys have any additional tips or resources that you would like to see.
I'd love to piggyback on things I've heard Dominic and Nancy say. I think, when I answered my question, it was very like utility based, like the utility of having an effective bio. Mm-hmm. And then Dominic came in on more of a creative, like inspiration fueling type of approach, where none of that even matters if you're not internally sort of functioning in a healthy way as a creative and as a producer. And then Nancy comes in with, in terms of entering a community, it's really important that your voice is heard from the start, which kind of just is an introduction. As when someone enters a room, like imagine entering a room and nobody recognizes you, or nobody, what's the word? Like, not recognize, but to acknowledge it. So imagine entering a room and nobody acknowledges you. And so you're kind of like, am I even in the room? Like, does anybody care? As opposed to, hey, Nancy just arrived. Everyone say hi to Nancy. And then she feels like she's a part of this, and she has permission to speak. And so I like all of these perspectives.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah. And they're all very useful because they're all coming from such different angles. Which I think is really, like you said, really important too, like the process from me getting in the community, what is that going to look like, from me like sharing an idea, what is that going to look like, from like, you know, me being able to implement that idea, like, and learning how to do so. You know, I think all those angles are so important, and kind of like making sure that the whole process is like seamless is definitely really, you know, important to kind of focus on every area. Because I think, yeah, that is important. You know, if you come into a community and you're not feeling like you're being heard, like what's to make you want to stay? You know what I mean? Like, what is that gonna like be any different than me going on like an Instagram post and commenting something, probably not gonna get a comment back? You know what I mean? Like it needs to be this like collaboration, this like willingness to kind of, you know, hear people and like learn people's stories and creative backgrounds. So yeah, I think that's really important to kind of focus on, is that to make sure that everybody's feeling heard, especially like you said, as we're entering this community, like what does this look like? You know, we're all coming in fresh minded, like not knowing what this is going to be or what this is going to look like. So ensuring that like process is like making you feel welcome and like community, you know, making you feel that community like sense, is definitely really important.
I'll add that I love that you guys are focusing on doing like personal interfacing like this, because this is the kind of stuff that, I mean, good work is kind of price of admission for doing creative and artistic work. So I think having opportunities to really have like a real vibe check and talk to people and connect in person, I think this participatory thing should definitely be, you know, a top priority.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I actually joined this other group called Lunch Club recently. I don't know if anyone's heard of it, but it pretty much, yeah. Okay. So it pretty much is, you like put in your interests and then you put in what you want, someone else that you want to network with, what their interests are or whatever. And once a week it like pairs you with someone to have like a lunchtime Zoom with.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I feel like it's a really good way to, because networking is really difficult right now and it's daunting. Like me reaching out to someone, cold DMing them or emailing them to be like, hey, I want to have a Zoom with you. People are probably like, ugh, like I have so many Zooms all day, I don't want to have another. But Lunch Club is nice because there's like no strings attached. You just get to meet new people and like across the country who you might want to kind of either learn something from or like pitch something to. So I thought it is super like creative way for like creators or video producers and stuff to kind of pair up with. But I feel like that could be super useful for this new kind of community.
I love
it.
That.
Definitely takes coordination, and I don't know if Lunch Club has like some kind of, you know, system in place how they do this, or it's like people are manually doing these pairings and scheduling the meetings, but definitely is something that you guys might want to like look into.
Yeah, and having those like one-on-one moments, I think is really important, you know. And it's like,
right, yeah,
you're getting to know like one person, you know what I mean, and getting to like put a name behind one person. And I think that is important, especially because, you know, as much as I love these group sessions, like I also really love doing my interviews, because that's like me being able to get a little bit deeper with like a specific person and learning more about their story, which is a little hard to do with like within an hour or 40 minutes or whatever, you know, these end up being. So I really like that idea. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Awesome. Does anybody else have any comments or questions for me or for you, each other, or anything like that?
I think another thing that's really a cool thing to foster is like a true like referral network. I think in our industry, I think about like when I get people who cold outreach me, as opposed to, or if I'm cold outreaching someone, as opposed to being introduced or having someone introduce me. I think that that's a really powerful thing for us to focus on, just in terms of keeping the rapport alive between us. And also, there's just so many ways that referrals, I mean, we're talking about, especially with creatives, a lot of small businesses and stuff. So I think referring each other is a really cool, I mean, it's just like sharing your friend's stuff on Instagram is like a totally free way to market them. And I think that's really powerful.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And, you know, so that reminded me, last week I asked this question, and someone mentioned that it'd be cool, and I wanted to get your guys' feedback on this, or how to kind of, you know, solidify this idea. But someone gave me this idea that we should have like a section, kind of like, I don't know if I can't remember what the website is called, but it's like where it's specifically for like photographers and models, but you can like go on there and like find like a model who's looking to like shoot, and they'll say like, oh, I'm looking to get paid, or I'm looking to like just shoot for like portfolio photo or for like headshots, and then you'll able to like get portfolio. So it's like a swap, you know what I mean? Like, so kind of having an area like that where you can kind of swap resources and be able to like share like a quick, like, this is what my work looks like. So people are like down to work with you. So would you recommend, I guess, something in being in that area of like the community where like you could also kind of like refer like people, and then you could click on them and see like a quick profile or quick like portfolio almost is what I'm envisioning, like something that's just like fast and like describes like what work you do, so that anyone who's like hiring or looking to collab with someone can like easily like click on you. And like maybe you could also have like a list on there of like people that you refer or people that you've worked with and like rating or something. I don't know, like how I guess in your head would that best work, or would that look best?
That's a good question. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with just continuing to foster the the community part of it, because that's where a lot of that can happen organically. Definitely. I think on a platform, a way to do it that would be, I think, meaningful would be in a way that it's not just about assessing work, but it's like, can Max introduce me to someone based on our connection, right? Maybe I can list a few people that, like, maybe there's sort of a mutual opt-in where I can list people that I'm down to refer. For example, we represent 12 artists in different disciplines: photographers, directors, fine artists. I would love it. Obviously they would love to have me refer them, but maybe, we can have a list of people that we can provide introductions to. Definitely. That could be an interesting way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like that a lot.
I try to come at it from like, what can we offer to the space, as opposed to what am I going to get as a user, but what can we bring to it?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Definitely. I like that. That makes me happy, because then you're, that shows that like thinking of like process that other people are going to encounter when it comes to like interacting with that space. And, at the end of the day, I think the most important thing is just making this like your guys' space. You know what I mean? Like, not like I have all of the ideas in the world that I could, one person can have, but I think, being able to kind of like talk with other creatives and hear what they want to see in in a space like this is really, just like crucial to like building something that's for the community and not for like whatever I think or whatever Andrea thinks. You know what I mean? Like we are two people and we can like sit down and talk all we want, but I think, just like you want this to be like useful for like, like a creative to come in, especially new creatives, which is really what we're like trying to tap into, is like, as a new creative, you go into this like industry and you're constantly being told like, oh, like you're not going to make money, like you're not going to be able to get a job. You know what I mean? It's so daunting. Like a lot of the times, like parents don't want their kids to go to art school because like, what's the point? You know what I mean? That's what you'll hear. And it's like, it's really scary. And it's like, we need to like, we want to enhance this idea of like creators being what they are, which is these powerful forces who, kind of make the world what it is, So I think, listening to what they want as they enter this space is so important, so that we can construct it based off of like what you guys want versus what we think. Yeah. Awesome.
Facts.
Yeah, we gotta break down that whole starving artist thing. That's not real.
Yeah, no. And like it's so funny because I say that to people, and like every single time I like have an interview or something, everyone will be like, that's ridiculous, because like, and someone will bring up something new every time I talk to them about this, but like people watch TV every day, and like that's just like a luxury that you think you have. It like a normal person is like, oh, it's just TV, but like no, like what you're watching on TV, whether it be a show, a movie, whatever, like that's somebody's work of art. Like the music that is at the end titles, that's somebody's work of art. You know what I mean? You're walking down the street and like the picture on a cereal box is someone's graphic. You know what I mean? Like our world wouldn't be anything without art or without creatives. So like really being able to hone in on how important that is just so crucial for like this time, especially this time with everything that's going on in the world. Just being able to kind of give creatives the love they deserve and like move over this like narrative from the starving artists to this like thriving artist, is so important. So
I think maybe the solution is more like PR for the creative industries and creative fields. Like growing up, we see plumbers doing their things and we see mailmen doing their things. We see doctors always glorified. Yes, those are career fields that exist, but do kids ever get an idea that they can have a career holding a camera, or they can have a career holding a pen as a writer or as a illustrator? We don't see a lot of imagery of like, it's a job, it's an everyday career that anybody can have. It's a career option that my kid can have. I don't have to like, you can't be an artist. What are you talking about? How are you going to pay bills? Like, no, there are plenty of positions out there for creative fields. So I think it's the PR of it. It's the let's make it normal. Let's make being an artist normal, not some sort of hippy dippy counterculture thing.
Yep. Exactly. And you know what? I just, like you said that, and it just triggered. I remembered one of these sessions, someone mentioned the importance of like, like teaching the youth like art, because especially now, like there's a lot of programs that are being cut out of schools, and like especially now with everything like being online, you're not getting that like interactive, like I know as a fact, like when I was growing up, like I was lucky enough to go to a school that had like art programs, so I was able to kind of like utilize that part of my brain and like realize that was something that I loved, you know what I mean? But nowadays, there's, especially in LA, there's a lot of schools that don't even offer that and like don't even give kids those opportunities. So I think it would be really cool eventually, once the community is kind of up and going and we all kind of are a little bit more familiarized with each other, to maybe offer some sort of like digital, if things are still how they are, some sort of digital like free courses or something where we can teach like younger kids like easily accessible things that they can do with like items at home, just kind of giving them the opportunity to join something that is creative and like kind of allowing them to use that space in their brain, I think is so important. I think that's going to breed a whole different like world for creatives, and we're going to see creative, the creative industry in a whole different light, and it's that along with obviously different PR, I think is going to like kind of change everything in the way that everybody views the creative field. But yeah, I think that's really important, kind of chatting with people who are younger and getting them educated in this field and showing them that it is like not something to be ashamed of, that to love, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people do grow up feeling ashamed, like that's what they want to do, even like my parents, like they've been super supportive, but like when I was growing up, they were kind of like, are you sure that's what you want to do? Like, are you sure you don't want to go to like business school or something like that, and like so there's always this like little like part of like people, like no matter how supportive they are, that's like, I don't know if you should do that, and I think just like being able to switch that narrative is definitely really important, and kind of showing the younger crowd that is something that is like worthy of your time and worthy of you growing up to do is definitely really important as well. So I love that.
I'm so down. I used to teach creative workshops to kids at Apple. I used to work for Apple back in the day.
Oh, awesome.
And I would love to, if there's ways that I can contribute to helping that happen, I'm down.
That'd be
teaching kids about creativity, like inviting curiosity. That's the best shit there is.
Exactly. And especially if it was coming from like, a platform of like really awesome, like creatives from all over the place, you as a kid, I would be so interested in like seeing what that looks like what it looks like to live as a creative and work as a creative. And I think it'd just be so cool. And especially because there's so many different people from so many different areas, like that's like, how many different classes you could offer. And, I don't know, I just think that would be really cool. It's kind of like
love that
younger generation, bring them up correctly. That's awesome.
I think that's a great idea. I would love to see something that's like showing kids how to upcycle things to create art. Awesome. I think I'm sure everyone can agree, growing up, like when you're trying to get into any new hobby or whether it's art related or not, it's like daunting, that threshold of like supplies you need. Mm-hmm. So it's like, what can you use in your home to kind of create something? I think that might be super cool. Yeah.
And that's also touching into that like sustainability aspect. That's so important, like in the as well. So I love that. Awesome. Okay, perfect. You guys, well, thank you so much. This has been so great. And it's just I'm just so glad that everybody who showed up kind of has like a background in the area that we're talking about today. I think it's just going to be so helpful for people to kind of come on and like watch if they weren't able to attend today and get some, experience. And I do want to mention, I haven't really been mentioning this in my other sessions, but I'm going to start saying this at the end because I think it's so important. I really want this to be a space where like we're seeing familiar faces. Like Max, I love so much that you like show up almost every single week, and that people are getting kind of familiarized with your story and everything that's going on, and being able to like connect with you, per week. So I want to open the floor. If you guys are welcome to like stop by next week, that would be awesome. So we can kind of, keep this like, this community thing of like seeing familiar faces every week and just coming to debrief about, the creative industry. So that would be really awesome. It's been so great talking with you guys. And if anybody is watching and would like to show up next week, I will have the link below where you can register for next week's session. I'm thinking next week we're probably going to do something a little bit like pretty open because we're going to be about a week away next week from our launch. So I'm thinking I want to do something that's more just like a come and talk and hang out type of situation, not really like a theme or anything like that. I think that'd be really cool just to kind of get familiarized with who's going to be in the creative community and what it's going to look like and stuff. So Definitely show up next week if you can. And also, Dominic, you're the only one who I haven't interviewed in this group. So if you'd be interested in doing an interview with us, that would be really awesome. You can reach me directly at SADAcollective.com. Perfect. If you want to just drop your email in the chat box, that'd be perfect. I can
let me
reach out to you about that. And then other than that, thank you guys so much for showing up. And I really look forward to seeing you guys hopefully next week and to see you guys in this community that we're building and to next week's conversation pit. So I'll see you guys all later. Thank you guys.
Let's go.
Bye.
Bye.